Yes, object-oriented concepts. Where you use object-oriented. Before object-oriented, what type of language are there? Procedure-oriented. Now they are procedure-oriented, like COBOL, C language. These are all procedure-oriented. What is the problem in procedure-oriented? What is the problem in C language and COBOL languages? Procedure-oriented languages are tightly coupled with each other. That means when you write any language, the language as, like we said, no, procedure-oriented versus object-oriented programming. In procedure language like C, COBOL, the code, when you write the code, we have presentation logic, business logic, database logic still with it. When you write any code, any program, if 100 lines of code you have written, in that 100 lines, 20 lines presentation, 20 lines business logic, 20 lines database logic will be there. How you need to present the data, presentation. How to process your data, business logic. And how to connect with the database, that's a database logic. And all these logics are in a single program you write it. In where? In procedure oriented. When you write in procedure and all the logics in a single program, what problem will you get? I am a developer one. I have written some 1,000 lines of code. I have written 1,000 lines of code. In a single program I have written 1,000 lines of code I have written. If any other developer asking my presentation logic, other developer is asking my presentation, I cannot share. I cannot share my logic to other people. Since if I share my presentation logic to you in your program, it copies with some other logic also. I have written a presentation logic data all in a single program. If you are asking my presentation logic, it follows presentation logic with business logic also. Since all logics are tightly coupled with each other in procedure oriented. The problem in procedure oriented is the logics are tightly coupled. Tightly coupled. But in object oriented programming, not like that. The logics are written.
So we are unable.
The logics are written in component based. Logics are written in component based. Oh, sorry. Sorry. In procedure oriented, what's object oriented? Let's see, COBOL, all presentation, business, all logics are tightly coupled with each other. So if I am a developer, I have written some 1,000 lines of code. If I want to share for other people, it should copy with some logic. That means your logic has to be copied with some logic. My presentation logic has to be given to others. If you go for COBOL, C, Fortran, Pascal, these are procedure oriented languages. It's very difficult to share. But in object oriented, we write the logics in component based. I'll write a presentation as a separate component, business as a separate component, and database separate logic. If you want my business logic, I can give my presentation or business logic to you. I can give my business logic to you. You can share or you can utilize them. I can share my logics by different people. That concept is nothing but object oriented programming. We write every program as an object oriented. When you write logic in object oriented, the advantage is what? What's advantage? Code reusability. The advantage of object oriented is what? Code reusability. I can reuse my code. For that reason only, from 1985 till date, 1985 till date, we are using object oriented languages. Go for all languages, any language you go, Java, Python, C Sharp, Ada, Apex programming, and PHP. Any language, go for object oriented. ABAP. Earlier it is a procedure oriented. SAP ABAP. Now they are using object oriented ABAP. Since reusability required. From 1980s, the same concept, object oriented concept, flex, it goes to all the languages. Every language should require the concept of object oriented. Component, we write as a separate component, as a class oriented we write. Object oriented means you write as a class oriented. When you write a program as a class oriented, reusability can be done. You write the code as a reusability. I written presentation logic in one class. If you want to use my structure, if you want to use my code, you create object of my class and you can use it. You are written a business logic as in separate class, you create object. So if you want, you can create your own object, you can use. Others want to use your object, others want to use your class, means create an object, you can use it. That's nothing but reusability, reusing the existing code. That concept called advantage of object oriented. Clear? So for that reason, from 1980s till date we are using object oriented programming. Okay. So before going to object oriented features, first we'll see what is class and object. What is class and what is an object in OOPS concepts? First step is what is a class and object. What is a class? Any idea? What is a class and object?
Class is a compound object of
Object?
it's made up of objects.
Anyone who want to be in programming, you require OOPS concepts compulsory. If you want programming means you require OOPS concepts. Without programming knowledge, you cannot survive in IT industry. Program means some language, but in the language, you require OOPS concepts first. Without that, you cannot go to industry. The first question they'll ask the questions object oriented only. So we'll discuss any language. OOPS concepts are same. You go for C# or Java or Python, any language. Class and object and what are the features, functionalities differ. How they declare is different. Declaration is different, but concepts are same. For that only you should learn detail in object oriented concepts in any language when you go. So what is a class and object? A class is nothing but, for example, you go for pen, red balloon, system, blue balloon, bottle, like that. These are all individual objects. Individual, physically what you are seeing is nothing but object. Physically what you see, a pen, a red balloon, system, blue balloon, these are all objects. Individual, I am saying that all objects. In that all objects, what are common? In all these objects, what are common? Pen is different, red balloon is different, system is different, blue balloon, bottle are there. All are different objects. But in this, there are some common objects are there. What are kind? Balloon, red balloon, blue. They are one set. They are one set. System is different. Balloons are different. You got the point? So we are identifying common objects. A red balloon, blue balloon, yellow balloon, like this. Among existing objects, you are identifying the common objects. Red balloon, blue, yellow balloon. Okay. In that common object, we need to identify common attributes of them. Common properties. Attributes are called as a property. So red, blue, yellow. In this, all these balloon objects, what are common? Not names. So in this all common object, don't say balloon is a common. So I am identifying common attributes. What are the attributes in the balloon? What require? Color, size.
Shape.
Every object requires some color, every object requires some size and shape. So if I change, so color red, size 20, oval shape. So then it is in a red balloon. So red balloon is an object with some common attributes. What are common attributes? The color, size and shape. And that's in a blue, the blue balloon, the color and size shape. And yellow color, yellow balloon has some yellow color, a size 20, shape oval shape like this. So we are identifying in the existing objects what are common objects. Okay, the red, blue, yellow balloon. In that common object you are identifying what? Common attributes. What are common attributes? Red, blue, yellow balloon. And that the color, size, shape is there. How we can define? The common functions. So in this common attributes and we need to identify common functions. Common function means in that balloon object there will be some methods or some functions will be there. The balloon object, what do you do? On the balloon object, what do you do? Some operations you do. What operations? Filling some air. When you fill air, when you fill air onto a balloon object, what is changing? Color changes, size changes, shape changes. When you do some operation on a balloon object, what is affecting? Properties are changing. Getting the point? These are all properties, color, size, shape. These are all attributes or in different language, different names you call. Data, we call this as data. When you do some operation onto this, when you do some function on an object, what is affecting? This data is the object. This affects the attributes. Attributes are affecting. Balloon has some three attributes: color, size and shape. When you do some operation, when you do some function, when you do some method on a particular object, what is affecting? Attributes are affecting. Attributes what? Color, size, shape is affecting. So what you can change? A class is a collection of common attributes and common functions. A class is a collection of common attributes, common functions. So we need to write a class balloon. What are the data members and what are the member functions? A class is a structure. A class is a logical structure identifying the common objects, identifying the common, in that common object, what are the data members, what are its common functions are there. So when you want to write a class, first you should write what, first you have to write class or object. When you want to write a class and object, you need to identify object or you need to identify class. Huh? You need to identify. So whenever you want to write a class, first you identify first what? Common objects. What are common? In that common objects you identify common attributes. Then you write a class. So we have number of objects are there. But in all these objects what are common? Balloon. Different types, red balloon, blue balloon. In that all different types of balloons, in all these balloons what are the common attributes? Color, size, shape. In all these attributes, on all these objects, when you do some operation which is affecting the attributes, you identify that functions. We identify that. When you fill air, when you puncture, when you pin on balloon, what happens? The color changes, shape changes, everything changes. So these are all functions. So here we fall it as a class is a collection of common attributes and functions. How we declare? So what are the common? You declare class like balloon. What are the data members? This is called data members and this are all member functions. A class contains some data and a class contains some methods. So class is what? A logical structure. A class is in a logical structure. It represents how object looks. You say that class is, it does not occupy any memory. How your object looks is nothing but a class. A class is nothing but logical structure how object looks. Or in some books will say class is a blueprint of an object. Will say what is that blueprint? It's blue color. Will be there in. What do you mean class is a blueprint means?
It's exact the same. How it looks is exact the same replica of structure.
When you want to construct a building, they used to dot some maps, no?
Model.
Model. That models earlier how it was blue color. Blue color it is, no? It's in a blueprint of your building. So they'll ask, show your blueprint. What is that blueprint means? The structure of your building. You are not constructing a building. You are not constructed, but how your building object looks, you are specifying the structure. That's nothing but a class. How your rooms looks with some dimension, that all you're defining as a some class. It's in some terminology blueprint of a class. Does class occupies memory? Class is only a structure. How physically your object looks, that is nothing but a class. Class will not occupy memory. It will not occupy memory. It is only a structure. A class represents only a structure how your object looks. How your object looks. In a simple term, how you can say class means, you go to blind people. When you go to blind person and he asked about particular object, I want to explain a balloon object to a blind person. How you explain? Blind person cannot see a balloon object. How you explain a balloon object to blind person? Audio. Okay. Without audio is don't have any. Audio is there, whatever may. How you explain that? Audio only, how you explain? So you will explain to a blind person that there is an object which has some color, which has some size, with some shape is there. When you do some function onto this object, the color changes, shape changes, then you can analyze the object. That analyze is nothing but a class. That structure is nothing but a class. For a blind person, you are explaining particular object, how that object looks. That is called logical structure. For that only say class is a logical structure how your object looks. Physically what you see, that is called object. And that collection of all the logical, all the collection of all common objects, you made it as a class. Clear? So if you want to write a class, first what you have to do? Identify objects. If you want to write class, first write class brackets, you don't write it. Basically you write the people who write some class means class colon sit silent. Don't know what are the attributes, what are the methods. If team lead say identify some class means first identify objects. On that objects identify common attributes, common methods, then you write a class. Correct? A class. When you write as a class an object oriented structure, then it is we call that program is an object oriented programming. Clear? So how you write that? If you want to write a class, you write a class and some methods and some attributes you write and you can call that class. If you want to write a class, go to Python. So I'm writing a program. File, new file. So to write a class, then you write a class. So class contains what? Attributes and methods. So you write class mycl colon the class name mycl. You write some attribute a equal to 1 2 3, str equal to The difference between Java and other languages, in Python language you don't have any semicolons, you don't have any brackets, you don't declare any data types. That's the only difference. Go for in Java, C language, what you write? You write some braces, and every line should end with semicolons, and every line should specify some data, integer, string. It takes the data type automatically. This is a declaration of your variables. Some method. I want some method. So I want to write method means definition, some method m1 colon, definition m1 method 1 written. A print I'm in f1. The class is closed. The class you written colon, and this from colon up to end. This brace is the no is indent. Whatever indent you have taken, this indent is nothing but a class definition. This method colon you are given, from that colon whatever definition you have written, this all print in second line. So now this definition M1 definition contains two line statements. If for example you are written like this, then what happens? Definition contains only one line. The indent, whatever indent space is there, no, the space recognized as an up to that mark. Now if I write M1, now this print I am in F1, this part only takes M1 method. Now I'll come memory space. Now here definition M1, print I am M1, print. So now print line is it's outside the function. It's an outside the function. When you write print like this, then it comes to M1 method. So here print, that's it's an I'm in second line. When you write print like this, last line in class, cannot write in class. Okay, now I return a class. I want to call the class. In call print my class, my cl dot a. You can get the value. Print my cl dot m1. You run the program. My cl dot str. So run the program. Click run. So you'll get my cl my class dot a 1 2 3 my cl dot str Python language my cl dot m1. So it's calling m1 function is there. M1 method, it's just giving the it's not giving the printout, not giving printing the value. So whenever you want to call a method, you need to create an object of that. You need to create object. When you create object, then only I can call method. These are all data members. And if you want to call a method, you need to create object. Like you'll create object ob something mycl. When you want to create, run. So then it's called, when you create an object ob equal to mycl, object is created, and object dot m1 means then it's called I'm in f1, I'm in second line. Everything it contains, static nonce, everything it contains. Now here see, I created a class. A class contains two data members, two variables, and contains one method. Create one more method. Definition m2 method colon print I'm in m2 method. Okay. And if you want to call any method, you call object dot m2. Don't declare any semicolon like that. So you created an object OB equal to myself, a class related object. We don't declare it data types. We don't declare new like that. You can go for in Java or other C++, you write OB equal to new myCL like that. No need. That's OB equal to myCL means object is created. Object.m1 and run. You can run the class. A Python language. So when you call class.m1 means I cannot call that. So to call any method you require object compulsory. That's so here in this program what you written, a class contains data members methods. Now the point here is now come to object oriented features. You declare a class. A class contains what? Data members and a methods. To call a method what has to be done? Who can call this method? Object only can call. That point you remember. A class contains data, methods. Methods, what methods contains? Method contains a statements operating your data. Operating your data. You can write something, a value. A value how much? A comma str equal to comma str. Something can write it. Run. So you have defined that. We'll declare that. So here the point is a class contains data members and it contains some methods and these methods are used to operate your data. That point remember. Now come to object oriented features. What is the advantage of object? Why you reference a program in class and object oriented? You are representing a class. You are representing a class. A class contains data. It contains some method. A method contains statements operating your data. And when you want to call a method, to call this method, you have to create what? Object. That's a point. Fine. What are the object-oriented features? What are the OOPS concepts? What are the object-oriented features? No idea. In BTech, you might be learn. What are object-oriented features? First, there are 4 points. Encapsulation, polymorphism, inheritance, and then abstraction. 4 points are there. Object-oriented feature is called encapsulation, polymorphism, inheritance. What do you mean by encapsulation? Encapsulation means the binding data methods together. Binding your data methods together is nothing but encapsulation. What you are binding here? They are linked anywhere here. Does this data and methods are binded together? They are kept in a block. You see, this is a class. This is a class. They are kept in a data and the methods are there. They are kept in a block, a class block which contain data methods, a set like that. That's called encapsulation. They are binded data methods together. What is the purpose maintaining the class like that? What advantage you'll get? When you place my data methods together, what advantage I'll get? Huh? Clarity. What advantage I'll get? Encapsulation means binding data methods together is called encapsulation. Binding data together. Okay, that's in a definition. But you should know the concept. We should know the advantage. We should know the purpose. Don't blindly go through the definitions. You should understand the concepts. What advantage you'll get?
We can reuse them.
Reusability.
Execution is related to that particular function only.
No. What is that?
Method.
Security will come. Where is the security here? Do you know security is there in encapsulation? People does not understand encapsulation, means they feel something binded. But advantage is what? Security. Where is the security here? How the security comes here? When you bind together, what is security here? That means this data can be processed by this method only. Others cannot touch my data. They are binded together thus such that other class members cannot touch my data. They cannot process my data. Who can process my data? Methods of that class only can process my data. Methods of that class only can process your data. That comes what? Encapsulation. I can scold or I can beat my children. Others cannot touch my children. What do you mean? Others cannot touch my data means what does it mean? It's in data hiding or security? Security. Others cannot touch my data. That's an advantage of first concept, object-oriented concept is what? Encapsulation. Advantage is what? Security. Binding data members and methods together is called encapsulation. Only methods of its class can process your data. Advantage is security. Your data is processed. If you declare any class members, it's called a security comes here. Only data can be processed, the data. Clear? Binding data methods together such that this data can be processed by this method only. We call this an encapsulation. Next concept, polymorphism. What do you mean by polymorphism? Huh? What do you mean by polymorphism? You write definition M1 with some parameter, string parameter, integer parameter. One more method you write definition M1 method with integer string, different parameters you are passing, different parameters methods. Same method name with a different parameters list. Same method name, different parameter list is there. Same method name with different parameters. That concept is called poly, means multi. Multiple method name, multiple methods, but with single name. How you are passing the parameters? When you pass the M1 with 10 comma Raju, it calls this method. When you call M1 with Ravi come 25, then call this method. That means depending on your parameters, the corresponding method is calling. But methods, how many methods are there? Multiple methods are there. Method name, same method. That's called polymorphism. If polymorphism concept is not there, what happens? You have to declare different method names. M1, M2, M3, M4. I should declare all multiple method names. And I should remember that method names also. M2 method, how it passes the parameters, string, integer. M3 with integer float, with string and list, with some list and set, like different parameter it passes. So I should remember all method names. I should remember method names and its parameters also. As polymorphism concept, what happens? No need to remember. You pass M1 with some parameters, corresponding method it calls automatically. Corresponding method is called. The advantage of polymorphism is what? What is the advantage of polymorphism? Reusable to చంద్రబాబు చెప్తానే ఉంటారు ఇంకా reusable to అని ఆబ్జెక్ట్ అంటే for anything it comes reusable to only will come. Encapsulation reusable to Polymorphism and usability. What is the advantage of polymorphism? No need to remember multiple methods. That's only the advantage. If polymorphism is not there, you should remember all the method names. M1, M2, M3 and what parameters is passing. No need. You pass whichever parameters and with some single method name, it calls the corresponding method automatically. That's called polymorphism. Same method name having different functionalities. M1 is there with a different functionality. That is called polymer. The advantage is easy to process with single method name. Easy to process with single method name. No need to remember all method. You don't need to remember all method names. And as per the parameter list, corresponding methods are calling automatically. In C language, we don't have this concept. You should remember all method names correspond. Since C is not object oriented. C is not object oriented, so we should remember all the method names, what parameters you have to pass. Clear? That's so when anyone asks any question means don't give technical terms. In depth again I'll ask a new question. Anywhere in the intros also, what is polymorphism? What is? Give direct, simple definition, simple concept. Encapsulation, binding data methods together. What is the advantage of encapsulation? Why advantage of encapsulation? Security. How it is secure? This data can be processed by this method only. Others cannot touch my data. It is secure. That's all. If you use some new terms here, what is that data hiding? What is reusability? Everything it will ask. Don't divert that questions there. Clear? Object oriented should be like that only. Learn the very easy manner. Learn very easily. Polymorphism. Same method name, multiple definition. That's all. Advantage is easy to remember. Simple word. Easy to remember since you don't need to remember all method names. Clear? Next. Abstraction. What do you mean by abstraction? Abstraction. Object-oriented concepts are four: encapsulation, polymorphism, abstraction, inheritance. What do you mean by abstraction? Huh? Blueprint of an object. What do you mean abstraction? Huh? Incomplete. Abstract means incomplete. When you go for a project, final year project, first page you'll write. What you'll write? Abstract. రాస్తారా వర్డ్ బాగుందని రాసేస్తారా? Why you write abstract in the first page? First page you write abstract, no? Write no? First page. Everyone will write abstract. What do you mean by the abstract? About your project in a summary format. I am not explaining the complete project. I am giving just brief. I am not explaining how it is implemented. I am giving how it is existing. That's how it is implemented. We don't require. You pass these parameters, it process, it returns. That's all. Abstraction means what you are hiding here? You are hiding how method is implemented. How method is implemented is hidden. That's called abstraction. You are hiding how it is implemented. You just call that method, you'll get an output. That's called an abstraction. You don't require what logic you have written in that method. How many lines you have written? We don't require. You just call that method, it returns some value and use it. You're just write print. I'm in F1. You know how to print the value. So to print the values, just call print, pass the parameters. How it is passing the value, how it is printing, you don't bother. We call it an abstract, that one. Abstraction means data This abstraction means here you are hiding data or a method. See the confusion it comes here. Abstraction means we are hiding how method is implemented. How method is implemented is called abstraction. Data hiding means encapsulation. You are hiding from others. That's called encapsulation. The definition for encapsulation is hiding data from others. That means data hiding is nothing but encapsulation. How method is implemented is nothing but abstraction. What is the advantage of abstraction? If you hide how it is implemented, what is an advantage? If you hide how it is implemented for you. Huh? If I explain some Python language instead of 100 hours, I explained in 10 hours. How you feel? I'm hiding the Python concepts. How you feel? Huh? You'll feel that. How you feel? It's very easy or faculty does not know you'll feel. You feel it's very easy. I'm hiding the information. You feel it is very easy. Abstraction advantage is what? Easy. You feel it's very easy. Complexity decreases. When you hide something, you are not hiding the data. See, we are not hiding the data. We are hiding how it is implemented. When you hide something, you just call method, you'll get an output means you feel it's very easy. Complexity decreases. Clear? You want to purchase some car. You went to car showroom. When you want purchase car, you go to car showroom. What executive will say? Sales executive. What data will say first? It is a car with some color. What is the mileage? I'll ask. No, 30 or 40 they'll ask. What is the mileage? What is color? Speed, like that. He won't give how it is how the car has been manufactured. It's a German technology. He'll say, but how it is implemented German technology, he won't explain. No, sorry, it is German. It's a Korean technology. We won't trust our Indian technology. So we'll trust in German technology. All cars are manufactured in German. It's German technology. So if I ask what is German technology, what happens? He'll explain. He'll ask some manager, he'll explain details. Does customer again purchase the car? No. When he explain more German technology, he feel difficult, so he go to another showroom. He'll ask there, what is German technology again? He explains some new concept there again. German technology has different components. In Indian technology, some other components are there. We assemble like this. In Germany, we won't assemble. We cannot replace that part. Okay. So again, he go on searching information. Last, he won't purchase the product. Why? We are given more information. When you give more information, it becomes more complex. And finally, you won't purchase the product. In some scenarios, we should minimize the complexity. What customer requires, you provide that information only. Don't give more information to him. He feel more difficult, its complexity becomes more and he won't purchase the finally. Same abstraction also like that. In some situation, you make a data should be reasonable. So we should use the data, how it is implemented, how it is method is implemented. We should know. Sometimes just call and use it. So abstraction is method, how it is, you are hiding how method is implemented. Is it? Abstraction means hiding how method is implemented. Simple term you should remember. Abstract means how method is implemented. You call some square root of 4, it returns some value. How square root method is written, we don't require. When you call method like this, when you're calling some object.m1, how it is linked, we don't require. If you want to call a method, you call object.m1. So it calls object. So if you want to call this m1 method, you need to specify object.m1. So directly it goes to object and calls a method. But how it is linked, that part we don't require. That part we don't require. That's called an abstraction. Is it? Advantage is what? Reduces complexity. It reduces the complexity. Just call method for that only. So when you want to remember the definition, means what you have to do? To remember the definition, what you have to do? Learn the advantage. What is the purpose of that concept? What is the purpose of that concept? To minimize the complexity, you are going for abstract. We are hiding. We are hiding. What you are hiding? Not data. We are hiding how method is implemented. Data hiding is nothing but encapsulation. Okay. Next, the fourth concept, inheritance. What is inheritance? Huh?
Inheriting some features from the parents.
Inheriting features from parent to child. What advantage you'll get?
Easy access.
Huh? What is inheritance advantage? ఫస్ట్ నుంచి అన్ని ఒకేగా చెప్తారు, లాస్ట్కి ఇన్హెరిటెన్స్ సైడ్ మర్చిపోతారు. ఫ్రమ్ స్టార్టింగ్ యూ యూస్ టు సే వన్ వర్డ్ reusability, and లాస్ట్కి ఇది మర్చిపోతారు. Every time we'll say reusability, for all the concept, the inheritance advantage is what? Reusability. Reusing the existing code. I have written some 1,000 lines of code and you want to reuse it. Instead of rewriting the same code, you create an object and you can reuse it or extend the functionality. I written 1,000 lines, that can be extended to 1,500 lines, that can be minimized or can be modified. That come reusable. So I written one class with some set of methods. A class with set of methods with some 10 methods I have written. When you use my class, when you are using my class, you may get 10 methods or you may get 5 methods or you may extend to 15 methods also. I have written a 10 methods. That 10 methods I can make securities that only 5 methods can be extended to you. Or you may extend, you have the possibility to extend some more methods. So advantage of inheritance what? Reusable. We'll have some other different types of inheritance, single, multi-level, abstraction, like different levels are there again. Subtract, that's inheritance means reusable, extending or modifying the existing class features is nothing but inheritance. The advantage of inheritance what? Reusability. Okay. The class you create an object. When you create an object, so to write a class, what you have done? Go to that method, file, new file, to write a class. So write class emp employee name and some name, employee ID 1 2 3, employee name, emp name, method, write method, write some method, definition m1, print, I'm in m1. Next method you have done. And create object. To create object 1 equal to employee class. Object 1 employee class. To call any object, method object 1 dot m1. Then the class. Run. So when you call method 1, you pass some a position. So you have to specify the parameter here. Right, so will come that self. I'm in m1. Right, object 1, M2 run. You define that same. So we'll define that later. You'll declare that data types again. So we are calling M1, M2. These methods are there. When you're declaring objects, object.m1, I'm in M1, allow in I am M2, like that's our display. Run model. A class contains what? Here a class contains data members. So, so what difference comes in? We'll discuss more in the examples. So procedure oriented versus object oriented. So what is the problem in procedure oriented? What is the problem in procedure oriented? All the code, whatever code you have written, the logics are written are tightly coupled with each other. Presentation logic, business logic. Most of the logics are three types. How you present the data, how to process your data, how to connect with the database. That's called logics. All these logics are tightly coupled with each other. If I have written some code and you want to use my code, it cannot possible. It's possible, but it links with some data also. That's a problem in procedure. For that, we came with the object oriented, which started in 1980s. Till date, we are using object oriented. There's no other. We are getting number of languages, but all languages should follow object oriented only. We have only two types of language. Before that, procedure oriented, there is a mission language, mission oriented language, assembly language. Then we came into procedure. Then we came into and high level language. In that high level language, again it's procedure oriented, object oriented is there. In object oriented, advantage is what? Reusability. For that only we came. All the language Java, Python, C#, Apex, PHP, all follows object oriented. Fine. Before going to object oriented, first should know what is a class and what is an object. To know object oriented, you know what is a class and object. So to define a class and object, first you should know what is an object, what is a class. Identify common objects. What are the common objects? We are physically, we are seeing object, pen, balloon, these are physically we are seeing. In that common physical object, you identify common objects. What are the common objects here? Red balloon, blue balloon, yellow balloon, like that number of objects are there. In that all, you identify common objects in this among all. In that all common objects, what are common? Properties. Color, size and shape. That's all common properties or common attributes. So we identify common objects, we identify common attributes, and we identify common functions performing on your data. The fill air, pin on the balloon. These are functions which performing on object. When you perform this method on an object, which is affecting attributes are affected. When you pin on object, what happens? Attributes are changing, color, size, shape are changing. When you fill air also, it's changing what? Attributes are changing. So that's all common function. So we identify common functions, common attributes, then you write a class. A class is a collection of common attributes and functions, which has some data and which has some members, called member functions or methods. So class is only a structure. It's a logical structure. How your physical object looks. How your physical object looks, that is nothing but a class. Or you call it a blueprint. Blueprint means it's structured how your object looks like that. It's a class will not occupy memory. It will not occupy. It's only a structure representing your object. And to write a class, first you need to identify common object. What are common? When there is no common, can I write a class? Individual is there, so I cannot write Class. Class is nothing but common functionality. When you see the objects, if you want to write a class, means first you need to see physically object. Analyze that objects, what are the common in all objects, attributes, what are the common functions, then you write a class. Clear? You are all employees. If you are all employees means every employee contains what? Employee ID, employee name, address will be there. Then you write attributes, ID, name, city is an attributes. And every employee requires some payslip. So you write payslip function. As per your basic salary, payslip you require. So like that every employee ID, name, phone and with employee payslip is in a function operating your basic salary. Like that you identify that. Common attributes and common functions. To create a class, just write a class name with some attribute name and write function, you call that function name. Or creating up to call any method, if you want to call any method, you have to create an object. Object.m1 object.m2 means directly it calls an object. Then you've seen what is a class and object. What features comes in class and object functionality? Encapsulation, polymorphism, abstraction and inheritance. And you are binding data methods together. So you are writing a class with the data methods. They are binded together such that who can process your data? Method only can process your data. Only method can process your data. Only method can process your data. We call it an encapsulation. What advantage you'll get when you go for encapsulation? Security. You are hiding the data. You are hiding data not to process by others. Others cannot touch my data. Others cannot touch my data. That's called a security. Security comes there. And polymer, same method name with multiple definitions. Same method name when you write multiple definition. We call, so this M1, you write M1 method. Same M1 method with parameter string. M1 with integer string. Like that you declare this same method name with multiple definitions. So what happens? Easy to remember. You don't need to remember all method. If polymorphism is not there, you have to declare multiple method names. M1, M2, M3, M4, like that multiple methods have. Now no need. You write single method name. As how you are calling method, corresponding method will call it. That's called the polymorphism. Advantage is easy to process with single method name. Single method name we can process it. It's abstraction. Hiding how method is implemented. How method is implemented. Hiding data means what? Hiding data means what? Encapsulation. Hiding how method is implemented. How method is implemented. Definition. It's nothing but abstraction. Called abstraction. You just call, you'll get some output. That's all. How that method is implemented, we don't require. We don't require how that method is implemented. That's called an abstraction. And next, finally, go for inheritance. Extending. I've written some method. I've written some list of methods in a particular class. 10 methods I've written in a class. If you want to use my methods, you can use my methods all. You can use all my 10 methods, or I want to give some security that only 5 methods can access, or you can make the 10 methods to 15 methods, or extending or modifying the existing. So there is another class, that class some list of methods, that class methods can be extended or can be modified. We call it an inheritance. Advantage is what? Reusability will come. Okay, but tomorrow I'll see some other program, class, object, how to pass the parameters to an object, how to call methods, all that we'll see. We'll see all the concepts. Number of concepts are there. Oops. This 5 days class, object is very important. If you learn this 5 days class, you can learn any language on your own. This 4-5 days class object and cons, if you learn this concept, you can learn any type of language. Any type of language you can learn. Such important concept, OOPS concepts. But first, this first class should be remembered. What is a class? What is the object? If you're not, just go through my recording class, you can get it. I'll upload this recording class also. You can go through that. Okay? Thank you. But while coming to the class, revise this concept. Don't leave as it is. It comes oops only. You learn on your own what is happening in this. Okay? Any doubts? I'll upload into the recording. I'll upload this recording. Any doubts? Any doubts?
వెళ్ళైతే రాదా హాయ్
Any doubts? Huh? ఈరోజు ఉంది. ఈరోజు కొంచెం బయటికి వెళ్తున్నా. Any doubts? కాన్సెప్ట్ ఫస్ట్ తెలిస్తే అప్పుడు మనం ప్రోగ్రామ్స్గా చేస్తాం. ఎందుకంటే ఈ కాన్సెప్ట్స్ ఒక్కొక్కటి
అబ్స్ట్రాక్ట్ క్లాస్ కి ఆబ్జెక్ట్ క్రియేట్ చేయలేం చేయొచ్చా చేయలేం